$30,000 fucking dollars in one fucking month.
Good morning. They're business expenses. Relax.
Business expenses?
Yes.
Jordy, look what you got here.
What?
Look at this. $26,000 for one fucking dinner.
Okay, no. This
February 20th, 2023, Ukraine and the United States announced a new $500 million deal to enhance Ukraine's defense capabilities, marking a significant milestone in the bilateral relationship between the two countries. The announcement came during Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to the United States to meet with President Joe Biden, and the deal includes a range of equipment and services designed to help Ukraine improve its military capabilities and modernize its armed forces. The $500 million package includes a variety of equipment and services, ranging from Javelin anti-tank missiles to secure communication systems, medical supplies, and training for Ukrainian troops. The deal also includes support for Ukraine's Navy, including coastal defense and maritime domain awareness capabilities. One of the key elements of the deal is the provision of Javelin anti-tank missiles, which are among the most advanced anti-tank weapons in the world. The missiles are highly effective against armored vehicles and can be used in a variety of combat scenarios. This provision is especially important given the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine, where Ukrainian troops have been battling Russian-backed separatists since 2014. The deal also includes a range of other military equipment, such as counter-artillery radar systems, tactical drones, and electronic warfare equipment. These capabilities will help Ukraine better defend itself against Russian aggression and will enhance its ability to detect and respond to enemy attacks. In addition to military hardware, the deal includes significant training and support for Ukrainian troops. This includes training in areas such as logistics, medical support, and command and control, as well as support for cyber defense and intelligence sharing. The United States has been a key partner and ally of Ukraine since the country's independence in 1991, and the new $500 million deal builds on a long history of collaboration between the two nations. The United States has provided significant military and economic aid to Ukraine over the years, including $2 billion in military aid since 2014. The new deal reflects the Biden administration's commitment to supporting Ukraine in the face of ongoing Russian aggression. Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and its support for separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine have been a major source of tension in the region, and the conflict has resulted in thousands of deaths and displaced millions of people. The United States and its allies have imposed a range of economic sanctions on Russia in response to its actions in Ukraine, but the conflict has continued to simmer, with occasional outbreaks of violence along the front lines. The new $500 million deal with Ukraine represents a clear signal of support for the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity and underscores the United States' commitment to defending its allies and partners in the face of Russian aggression. The announcement of the new deal was met with mixed reactions in Ukraine and Russia. Ukrainian officials welcomed the news, with President Zelensky calling it a powerful signal of support for Ukraine's security and sovereignty. Russian officials, however, criticized the deal, with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warning that it would only serve to further escalate tensions in the region. The new deal also comes at a time of growing concern over Russia's military buildup along its western borders. In recent months, Russia has conducted a series of large-scale military exercises, including near the border with Ukraine, and has reportedly deployed thousands of troops and military equipment to the region. The United States and its allies have been closely monitoring these developments, and the new deal with Ukraine is seen as a way to help deter further Russian aggression in the region. However, it is unclear how Russia will respond to the new agreement, and there are concerns that it could further inflame tensions between the two countries. In conclusion, the new $500 million deal with Ukraine represents a significant investment in the country's defense capabilities and underscores the United States' commitment to supporting its allies. The United States has been involved in numerous military conflicts over the years, and the question of where it gets the money for these wars is an important one. In general, the money for wars comes from a combination of sources, including government borrowing, taxes, and other revenue sources. This paper will explore these sources in more detail, as well as some of the challenges and controversies that arise in funding military conflicts. One of the primary ways that the US government funds its wars is through borrowing. This borrowing can take many forms, including the issuance of government bonds, which are essentially loans that the government takes out from investors. These bonds can be bought by individuals, businesses, or foreign governments, and they typically offer a fixed rate of return over a set period of time. The US government has a long history of issuing bonds to fund its wars, including during World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War. In addition to borrowing, the US government also funds its wars through taxes. The federal government has the power to levy taxes on a variety of sources, including income, property, and goods and services. These taxes are used to fund a wide range of government programs, including the military. During times of war, the government may raise taxes to help pay for the increased costs of the conflict. For example, during World War II, the government raised taxes on income, gasoline, and cigarettes, among other things. Another way that the government funds its wars is through the sale of government assets. This can include the sale of public land, buildings, and other government-owned property. In some cases, the government may also sell off assets that it no longer needs, such as surplus military equipment or vehicles. The money raised from these sales can then be used to fund the war effort. Finally, the government can also fund its wars through the use of off-budget spending. This refers to spending that is not accounted for in the regular budget process, but is instead funded through emergency appropriations or other special funding mechanisms. This type of spending is often controversial, as it can be used to circumvent normal budgetary constraints and accountability measures. While these sources of funding can be effective in providing the necessary resources for war, they are not without their challenges and controversies. One of the biggest challenges is the cost of war itself. Military conflicts can be extremely expensive, with the costs often running into the billions or even trillions of dollars. This can place a significant burden on the government, as well as on taxpayers and future generations. Another challenge is the impact of war on the economy. Military conflicts can disrupt trade and investment, as well as lead to inflation and other economic disruptions. This can have a significant impact on the overall health of the economy, and can make it more difficult for the government to fund its other programs and initiatives. Finally, there are often political and ethical controversies associated with funding wars. Many people argue that war is a wasteful and destructive use of resources, and that the money spent on wars could be better used to address other pressing issues, such as poverty, healthcare, and education. Others argue that wars are necessary to protect national security and promote democracy and freedom, and that the costs are a necessary price to pay for these benefits. In conclusion, the US government funds its wars through a combination of borrowing, taxes, and other revenue sources. While these sources can be effective in providing the necessary resources for war, they are not without their challenges and controversies. The cost of war itself, the impact on the economy, and the political and ethical controversies associated with funding wars all pose significant challenges to the government and society as a whole. As such, it is important for policymakers and citizens to carefully consider the costs and benefits of military conflicts, and to ensure that the funding mechanisms used are transparent, accountable,